Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be talking about brows and how I fill them in. This is my current routine. I've been doing this routine probably for several months and I love it. It really frames my face. I think it's so important to work on your brows and take the time. If you're not doing any makeup at all, then you can completely skip this step. When I'm going for those lazy days, just don't even have a stitch of makeup on, I don't do my brows. But if I'm gonna take the time and really try to perfect my foundation or my eye look and really make sure everything is, smoothed out or buffed out, it just makes more sense to me to have your brows done as well and have those perfected because it kind of just ties everything in. And if I look at myself, it looks weird to see my makeup look and not have my brows. For me, I have very sparse brows. They're not very long or full. I am actually growing them out and I've come a long way. To get started, we're gonna need a few things. The first is a spoolie. It is so important to have something to brush through your brows first and then even during sometimes to really blend out the color. The next thing is a small angled brush. You can use any brush. This one is the Real Techniques Bold Metal Collection. It's the number 202. It's just a very small angled brush and this has changed my brow routine. It just makes it so much easier. It's just a very small, dense, little stubby angled brush and it's thin enough to create those hairs. The product I'm using to fill in my brows is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade. This is in the color medium brown. It is a perfect match for me. And you can certainly use a pencil, you can use powder, but for me, a pomade looks so much more natural. I have such sparse areas and I need to fill in and create hair that's not in those areas. So powder doesn't stick to your skin like a pomade would. You can also get the Brow Wiz, which is a very fine waxy type pencil that would work as well. So the first thing you want to do is just comb through your hair, get them in place where you're gonna want them to kind of be when you're applying. So I like to drag out my tails a little bit and kind of flatten that hair and drag them out down an angle, kind of just look at the natural hair growth. And I usually just brush up the centers. What I like to do is put some product in my cap and I kind of just spread it out and evenly disperse it in my brush so I'm not getting too much product. This pomade is so potent. A little goes a long way, so you don't want too much on your brush. So I'm just kind of working that into my brush. So what you're gonna go ahead and do is start here from the front. You're gonna just create a line. And then you're gonna bring it all the way back to your tail. So you really want your bottom part of your brow to be a lot more perfected. So I'm actually going to take it a little bit more here. I like to be very light at the front because I don't want this part of my brow to be too bold. That's the part where you want it to be natural, is at this area, and then I deepen the intensity down here to my tail because that's really where I want it to be defined. Here is kind of where you want it to be fluffy and a little bit more natural. So you want that defined line here at the bottom so it just looks very crisp. Now that you've done that, you still have product on your brush, so you can just go ahead and draw the top part of your tail coming down like that. So now that you've kind of outlined your area, these areas being more defined, this area being a little bit more less defined, you can go ahead and start creating little hairs. So what I do is I have the angle with the point side down and I just go in and start creating little flicks. And you can kind of work at this fast in this area because you really want a very light touch. I am not dragging really deep into my skin. I'm just creating little flicks. And at that point, you see I'm starting to build up a little bit of color there. I haven't even grabbed any more color. I'm just using what's on the brush. So if you can see the difference between this one, which we haven't touched, and this one, it's starting to look a little fuller. It's starting to look a little darker, and that's what I'm going for. So I'm actually gonna grab a tiny bit more product. So again, I'm just grabbing from my cap. There's not a whole lot of product in here. Grabbing a little bit of that, and I'm gonna start moving my way in. So with here, I'm just gonna go in the direction of the hair. So here we went kind of up. Now we're gonna start going horizontally and creating those hairs. So now we've pretty much filled in majority of it. And as you can see, here's the brow that we've already worked on, and then here's my other brow. And you know, it's just a little bit scattered, just not as precise, and this just looks a little bit more, you could see my makeup look. I just kind of look a little bit more put together, I guess, on this side. I just like how that looks a lot better. So I'm just gonna keep going in, and sometimes I grab the flat, long part and I just kind of drag like that to try to disperse the product a little bit more. You could always go back in with your spoolie, and you could always, you know, just brush through. I don't have very thick hair, so not a lot of product is kind of attached to those hairs. If you do use too much product, you will see like little clumps, and that's what you don't want to do. So we're just gonna keep kind of working in. So at this point, I would be done. You can still see that there are some little gaps. It's not a complete solid color, and that's really what you want to do if you are trying to create a natural brow. I still want it to look like those are hairs. I still don't want it to be one solid color, because that's when they start to look a little too overdrawn. So for me, this brow is done. And so if we're looking at a comparison, here is this brow, and then we have this brow. So it really just makes a huge difference. Now I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just whip through this next one a little bit faster than we did before. Create that line. And you can kind of look straight ahead to make sure, but everything looks at least the same intensity. If the shape is slightly off, that's okay. That will just, again, make them look more natural. But you don't want to have a really dark brow here and a lighter brow here. So it's more to kind of make sure that the intensity is the same. And those are our brows. As you can see, it just really creates a better makeup look and pulls everything together, and they don't look unnatural. For me, this is as defined as I will go, you know, especially like I said, my tails, I really like them crisp, but everywhere else is kind of just fluffy. I just need to fill them in. They're just so sparse. So it's a very easy process. I know I was kind of walking through it, so it may seem longer, but it doesn't take any time at all just to kind of incorporate this into your day. And you know, skip it if you don't need to. If you don't need to, power to you. You are lucky, because I wish I had really full, voluptuous brows, I guess. It excites me. I don't know why. Brows are very exciting. Let me know if you liked this video by giving it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, you know where that button lives. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.